Dubai, the city of gold, has long been a place where fortunes are made and lost overnight. Among the many who sought their success in its towering skyline was Fahad Rahmani, a 34-year-old businessman from Mumbai, India. Like many ambitious entrepreneurs, Fahad had moved to Dubai in 2012, determined to carve out a name for himself in the fast-paced world of trade. Over the years, he had established Rahmani Trading, a company dealing in electronics and luxury watches, catering to a high-end clientele across the Middle East. His business acumen, combined with his ability to form strong connections, allowed him to thrive in an industry where competition was ruthless. His contacts included businessmen from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE, men of influence who conducted deals worth millions. For years, he had been on an upward trajectory, living in a luxurious apartment in Al Burshah with his wife, Aisha, and their 2 young children. April 22, 2018, started like any other day for Fahad. He spent the morning at meetings, discussing new shipments with suppliers, negotiating deals, and making sure everything was in order. His company had been doing well, but there was a lingering problem that had been troubling him for weeks. A deal he had struck with a Qatari businessman, Jamal Al-Masri, had gone terribly wrong. A shipment of high-end electronics had been delayed due to unforeseen issues at customs, and when it finally arrived, a significant portion of the products had been damaged. The losses amounted to more than $2 million, and Jamal was furious. Although Fahad had assured him that they would work out a resolution, Jamal's patience was wearing thin. That evening, Fahad left his office in Dera around 8:30 p.m., as he usually did. He called Aisha to let her know he was on his way home. She was preparing dinner and expected him shortly. It was a routine they had followed for years, and there was nothing unusual about that night. But when an hour passed and he had not arrived, she began to worry. She called him, but there was no answer. At first, she assumed he had been caught up with work or had stopped somewhere on the way. But as the hours passed, anxiety turned into fear. By midnight, she had called his colleagues, but no one knew where he was. The following morning, she contacted the police and filed a missing persons report. Dubai authorities wasted no time launching an investigation. Fahad was a well-known businessman, and his sudden disappearance raised concerns. The first clue came later that day when his black Mercedes-Benz was found abandoned near Dubai Marina. The driver's door was slightly open, his phone was still inside, and there were no immediate signs of struggle. It was as if he had stepped out of his car voluntarily, but what had happened afterward remained a mystery. Security footage from a nearby building provided the first significant lead. The cameras had captured Fahad talking to a man wearing a white kandura, a traditional Emirati dress. After a brief conversation, he had stepped into a dark-colored SUV, which then drove away. That was the last time anyone saw him. The SUV's number plate was traced to a rental company in Sharjah, but when investigators followed the lead, they hit a dead end. The car had been rented under a false identity, and the individual responsible had vanished without a trace. With few leads to go on, investigators turned their attention to Fahad's business dealings. They combed through his financial records, looking for anything unusual. His bank accounts remained untouched, eliminating the possibility that he had disappeared voluntarily. There was no ransom demand, which ruled out a typical kidnapping. Then, they discovered his connection to Jamal Al-Masri. Jamal was a powerful businessman with deep ties across the Middle East. His reputation was well known, he was ruthless in business, and those who crossed him often found themselves in difficult situations. Investigators learned that Fahad and Jamal had been in frequent contact before his disappearance. The last call Fahad had made before leaving his office was to Jamal. When questioned, Jamal denied any involvement and claimed he had no idea what had happened to Fahad. Without concrete evidence, the police could not detain him. Weeks passed with no sign of Fahad. His family held on to hope, but as time dragged on, their fears grew stronger. Then, nearly a month later, a group of desert trekkers made a grim discovery. While exploring the remote Al Marmum desert, they stumbled upon a decomposed body lying in the sand. When authorities arrived, they found that the body had been shot twice in the chest. His wallet and phone were missing, but one item remained, a Rolex watch still strapped to his wrist. Dental records and forensic analysis confirmed what everyone had feared. It was Fahad. His murder was now a reality, and the case took a darker turn. Investigators retraced their steps, revisiting the security footage, the abandoned car, and the business deal gone wrong. With mounting pressure, they intensified their search for the SUV and the man who had last been seen with Fahad. Their efforts finally paid off when they traced a lead to two men, Karim, an Egyptian national, and Bilal, a Pakistani man, both with known ties to Jamal al-Masri. When arrested and interrogated, Bilal eventually broke down and confessed. According to Bilal, the plan had never been to kill Fahad. They had been hired to scare him, to rough him up as a warning for the failed business deal. But something had gone wrong. When Fahad resisted, the situation escalated, and a call was made to Jamal. According to Bilal, it was Jamal who ordered them to finish the job. Moments later, 2 bullets ended Fahad's life. His body was transported to the desert and left to rot, an attempt to erase the evidence. Despite Bilal's confession, the case was far from over. The real mastermind behind the crime had fled. By the time authorities pieced together the evidence, Jamal al-Masri was no longer in Dubai. He had returned to Qatar, a country that does not easily extradite its citizens. Dubai's government requested his extradition, but Qatar refused, claiming that there was not enough direct evidence linking him to the crime. The case against him remained open, but without his presence, there was little that could be done. In the end, Karim and Bilal were sentenced to life in prison for their roles in the murder, but for many, justice was incomplete. Fahad's wife, unable to bear the loss and the lack of closure, left Dubai with her children, returning to India to start anew. The business he had built so carefully was shut down, and the life he had worked so hard for was shattered in an instant. Years later, the murder of Fahad Rahmani remains a haunting mystery in Dubai's history. His story serves as a grim reminder of how ambition and betrayal can lead to deadly consequences. His name is still spoken in hushed tones among the business elite, a tale of caution for those who believe that wealth and power guarantee safety. Even in a city known for its strict laws and order, there are still some who can escape justice.